I convinced myself it was only a brief escape, a chance to feel alive again. David, my husband, had always been kind and steady, but our marriage had slipped into monotony. Quiet meals, tired mornings, and words that carried no meaning. When Ethan, a man from my past, resurfaced with promises of fire and excitement, I let myself be pulled in. I arranged a secret getaway with him, telling David I'd be spending time with friends. The moment I boarded the plane, I muted David's number so nothing would disturb me. Those days away felt intoxicating. Lavish dinners, careless laughter, stolen kisses that made me believe I was young again. With Ethan, I shrugged off my vows, my home, and the man who trusted me. Every night, I told myself this was harmless, that I'd return unchanged, that David would never discover the truth. But in the quiet moments, guilt pressed at me. I silenced it the same way I silenced my phone, ignoring his calls, his worry, his love. For 7 days, I floated in a fantasy, while David sat alone, left in the dark, not knowing where I had gone. When it was over, dread mixed with relief. On the flight back, I unblocked his number, ready for missed calls or desperate messages. None appeared. The screen stayed empty. I convinced myself he was waiting, saving his questions for when I returned. Stepping into the house, I plastered on a smile, acting as though nothing had shifted. But everything had. His shoes were no longer by the door. His coat wasn't on the chair. Even the faint trace of his cologne had disappeared. On the table sat an envelope, my name written in his handwriting. My hands shook as I tore it open. Clara, I don't know where you went or why you shut me out, but your silence told me everything I needed to know. A husband shouldn't have to beg for a place in his wife's life. I waited. I worried. And I realized I deserve more than being ignored. By the time you read this, I'll be gone. I can't keep waiting. Goodbye. The letter cut deeper than any argument ever could. My chest tightened, and I collapsed into a chair, breathless. I thought of calling him, explaining, but the truth was undeniable. My betrayal was exactly what he had feared. Weeks slipped by with no sign of David. My calls went unanswered, my texts ignored, my letters returned to silence. It was as though he had erased me from his world. I had traded loyalty for a momentary thrill, and in doing so, I lost everything. Ethan tried to reach out, but I pushed him away. The fire I had chased now felt dirty. He was never meant to be my future. David was. And I had destroyed him. Memories of David's quiet devotion haunted me, filling my gas tank, setting the coffee pot each morning, steadying me whenever I faltered. Those small gestures now mocked me. I had exchanged them for nothing. Friends asked about my hollow expression, why my wedding ring was gone. I mumbled excuses, saying we drifted apart. The truth was harsher. I shattered what mattered most. David walked away before I could beg for forgiveness. Months later, divorce papers arrived. Clean, final, without bitterness or blame. Signing them felt like sealing a coffin. Our marriage was over. At night, I stare at his contact name on my phone, wondering if he ever thinks of me. But I know the answer. His voice, his smile, his steady love, gone. That trip didn't just damage us. It erased him from my life. Love isn't found in fleeting passion or reckless adventures. It's built on trust, respect, and loyalty. I lost David because I forgot that. The world moves on, but I remain frozen in the silence of the man I drove away, the man who never looked back.